For any exam-related queries, call us at +1 678 648 4277. You can mail us at support@economicsexam.com or reach us at https://www.economicsexamhelp.com. 1. Decide whether each of the following statements is true, false, or uncertain, and give a brief but clear explanation of your answer. Most of the credit will be given for the explanation. 1a. People who buy CDRW drives also buy CDRW discs. Therefore, drives and discs are in the same market. 1b. Optimal production for a monopolist is at the point of minimum average cost. 2. Old McAdams had a farm. And on this farm, he grows some corn. To grow corn, he needs a tractor. A new tractor costs $100,000. There is a very liquid resale market for tractors. A tractor that is 1 year old sells for $70,000 and a tractor that is 2 years old sells for $45,000. For simplicity, assume that all tractors 3 or more years old cannot be used to grow corn and sell for $0. These prices are expected to stay the same in the future. The variable cost of producing corn is the same regardless of whether you are using a tractor that is new, 1 year old or 2 years old. A. Old McAdams faces an interest rate of 10%. What is the user cost of capital associated with using a new tractor for 1 year? What is the user cost of capital associated with using a 1-year-old tractor for 1 year? What is the user cost of capital associated with using a 2-year-old tractor for 1 year? Economicsexamhelp.com. B. Old McAdams is formulating a plan for growing corn for the next 3 years. What is the optimal arrangement for the necessary tractor input over the 3 years? For instance, should he buy a new tractor and use it for 3 years, or something else? 3. Suppose there are 2 companies, TinySoft and Golden Delicious GD, that develop a new software technology with an expected market size of 20 million units next year. Distributing the software on the web and in computer stores, the constant marginal cost will be $10, while the price will be $65. If TinySoft spends $100 million on a promotional campaign this period, it can capture 50% of the market next year. However, if it spends $310 million this period, it can capture 70% of the market next year. Assume the discount rate is 10%. A. Which promotional campaign should TinySoft pursue? B. Now suppose that this software exhibits a network externality so that the $310 million campaign will allow TinySoft to capture the entire market. Which promotional campaign should TinySoft pursue now? Economicsexamhelp.com. C. After the promotional campaign but before production, a third company introduces a software package that makes TinySoft's technology virtually obsolete. Instead of $65, the price that TinySoft now commands is only $5. The CEO of TinySoft issues a statement to his workforce that concludes, "Though these are hard times, we stay committed to our product. We will not let our efforts and our promotional campaign go to waste." As a consultant to TinySoft, comment on the CEO's statement. 4. There are 2 sources of demand for broccoli. The first source is human consumption, which has demand function D, P, equals 10 P, where price P is in dollars per pound and quantity is in millions of pounds. The second source is as a food source for animal production, and this source is infinitely elastic at P equals 8. The supply function for broccoli is S, P equals P. A. Draw an appropriate supply-demand diagram of the market for broccoli. What are the price and total quantity of broccoli supplied? What is consumer surplus at this point? What is producer surplus at this point? Economicsexamhelp.com B. The government starts a vegetables are good for you campaign and gives subsidies for broccoli consumption. In particular, the government pays $1 per pound of broccoli. Assume first that the government cannot distinguish between human and animal consumption. What is the new equilibrium price in quantity? What is the cost of the subsidy to the government? Is there any deadweight loss from this government intervention? If so, how much? C. Assume now that the government finds a way to distinguish between animal and human consumption. The government now gives the subsidy only for human consumption. What is the new equilibrium price in quantity? Is there any deadweight loss from this government intervention? If so, how much? 5. From regression analysis applied to data, average costs of production for each firm in your industry obey. Where QT is current annual production, and CumQT is cumulative, total, production over the last 5 years. Now, your firm has always had, and still has, a market share of 25%. Your main competitor has always had, and still has, a market share of 20%. What is your cost advantage over your competitor? Show your calculation as well as stating any assumptions you may need to make. economicsexamhelp.com. Problem number 1. True, false, uncertain. 1A. False. CDRW disks are clearly not demand substitutes for CDRW drives. People will not switch from disks to drives when the price of disks goes up. On the contrary, these products are complements. They are also not supply substitutes neither. Producers of drives would not typically switch to the production of disks just because the price of disks went up. These are very different technologies, so drive producers are not the most natural entrants in the disk market. Note, given how little we focused on it in class, it is not necessary to talk about supply substitutes to get full credit. Common mistakes. CDRW drives and disks are complements and therefore in the same market. Not true. Markets are not defined by complements but by substitutes. Although when two products are complements, e.g. gas and cars, the markets are linked, the products are not in the same market because there is no supply or demand substitutability. Two products are in the same market if they are demand substitutes, partially true. However, it is better to state that two products are in the same market if they are demand or supply substitutes. economicsexamhelp.com. 1B. Uncertain or false, depending upon explanation. Optimal production will be at the point where marginal cost equals marginal revenue. This will in general not be the point of minimal average cost. It might be the point of minimal average cost by pure coincidence, if the marginal cost, average cost, and marginal revenue curve all intersect each other at the same point. Common mistakes. Marginal cost equals marginal revenue imply minimal average cost. Not true. MC crosses the average cost curve at the minimum average cost point, but this does not mean that profits are optimized at that point. For example, if at the minimum average cost level, producing one extra unit generates more revenue than cost, hence MRMC, then the monopolist should produce this unit as it will increase their profits even if this means higher average cost. In the long run, a monopolist will produce at minimum average costs. Not true. In the short as well as in the long run, the monopolist optimizes its profit by producing at the point where MR equals MC, and this does not imply lowest marginal cost. economicsexamhelp.com. Problem number 2. A. The user cost of capital for each type of tractor is as follows. UCC for 1 year use of new tractor equals 100,000 to 70,000, plus 10% asterisk 100,000 equals $40,000. UCC for 1 year use of 1-year-old tractor equals 70,000 to 45,000, plus 10% asterisk 70,000 equals $32,000. UCC for 1 year use of 2-year-old tractor equals 45,000 to 0, plus 10% asterisk 45